And we're live again. Awesome. I think I'm starting to get used to this, going live more often. I'm gonna close the door. The dogs are tripping already. Come on. All right. Let me know when you're here. I know I announced this yesterday. I was gonna do this yesterday, but actually I wanted to do this on Friday or Saturday. I don't know. One of you actually messaged me with a very interesting story. After I went live last weekend about all of the solar flares that we're getting hit with and all of the symptoms that a lot of you are feeling. So I kind of wanted to piggyback off of something that one of you messaged me about having an experience with the in-between. Okay, so as soon as somebody comes on, let me know you're on, and I will start with my personal stories and what you're experiencing to let you know that you're not going crazy. Anybody out there? Anybody? Somebody? Well, anyway, all right. So what this person experienced was they were in the in-between state of being that groggy state when you're about to pass out, but you know you're still consciously aware, where you can go turn off the light or turn off the TV, or you can just decide to let go and just pass out. That's the groggy state. That's the in-between state. You can actually do a lot of manifesting in this state. You can actually make it a point to astral travel in that state. I use that state to create, to imagine. It's a really good, I have an imagination process that I send to people to create from that space, because it's an in-between state. It's an in-between state to actually going into another dimension. Let's just call it that. So what happened is this person had a sensation, or she actually heard a disembodied voice, okay? She heard a disembodied voice, and all of a sudden she felt it in her gut. She knew that it wasn't her child that she heard, because her child wasn't in the house at the time. And then all of a sudden she woke up because it was such a gut-wrenching scream that she heard. And then she looked at her arm and she had an imprint of a bite mark, okay? This does happen, you guys. Maybe some of you have woken up with scratches. I know I have. I've woken up with actual bruises and actual handprints on my body before. So this can be scary, especially if you don't know what's going on, or especially if you've never really been into any of this and you wake up to something like this. All of this exists. It's real. But anywho, what's happening right now, what I didn't explain in that last video, was that in order for us to ascend from the third dimension into the fifth, there is a walkway, or you can call it a road that we're going through, okay? From the third to the fifth, there's the fourth. The fourth is where the spiritual world resides. The fourth is also where we dream, okay? This is where we communicate in our dream state with departed loved ones. That's why those feel so real. Those are very real. And it's also the spiritual realm. That's their realm. The 3D state is our realm. We run this bitch, okay? Now, that's where spiritual boundaries come into play. I let her know she's not crazy. But what's happening is that the veil is so thin that there's confusion going on right now. And a lot more people are starting to experience seeing things and hearing things, and I think they're going crazy. You're not. It's just the worlds are merging is what's happening, or the worlds are crossing into each other, and that's what we're experiencing more of. Now, if you've had experience with psychedelics recently, not really knowing or being guided in a ceremony, and you're doing it recreationally on your own, you're kind of you are exposing yourself and being open to things that you're unfamiliar with and not being trained. So be careful, because you will be opening doors to things that you are untrained for or not prepared for, or you have no guidance in. So, but if you do want to learn about those things, get your girl up or find somebody. If you don't resonate with me, cool. But I do know about these things. However, what I'm going to be talking to you about today is how I started experiencing these things when I pretty much was activated into it, I guess you can say, through tragedy. I started getting woken up in the middle of the night, literally getting tapped in the middle of the night. I used to think it was my ex that was in the bed next to me. And I would wake up and he was snoring. And I'd be like, I'd go back to bed and I'd feel it taps again. And I'm like, who or what is waking me up? At the time, I hadn't honed into the clairaudient part of myself yet, but I could feel the physical taps on my arm. He slept on my left side. So when you're in that state of being woken up, like nothing is really making logical sense. So I'd be like, why are you? And when I realized he's sleeping on my left side, but the taps were coming on my right, all of a sudden that holy shit, and all of a sudden I get the chills in my entire body when I finally realized, oh my gosh, it's not him tapping me. I take the covers and I just go over my head like this. That's the first time I can say that something touched me where I was just like, what the heck? When I'm an adult, like an adult finally diving into the occult, finally like asking for something to show up, okay? Mind you, I've been dabbling in some of this stuff, like I'm now reading books and all of that. So I'm asking for this to be present and known into my life. All of a sudden, I get woken up by someone I don't know. It's a stranger to me. And they're saying, hey, 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 in my ear, okay? While I'm sleeping. I know it's a disembodied voice just because I know nobody should be saying, hey, 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 in my ear in the middle of the night. But I'm like, I'm sleeping, please, I don't know you, like, leave me alone. And they're literally like, I'm trying to get a message to my cousin. And I'm like, I don't know your cousin. Because at this time, I don't know anybody who's died recently. I'm trying to get a message to my cousin. I don't know your cousin. So I'm sitting here arguing with the spirit to leave me alone. Mind you guys, I don't know who it is. I don't know who they're talking about. I let it go. I keep going. So now I'm starting to get used to like random disembodied spirits starting to like randomly talk to me. And all of a sudden, like for a week straight, I start hearing the name Sabrina. Like, mind you, this is throughout several months. And I didn't realize that one of my really good friends, one of her best friends actually died at a very early age, and her name was Sabrina. And her sister was coming into town, and her sister Sabrina was trying to get she was trying to come through to get a message across, but I was so new at this that I was just like, who the Sabrina? Like, anyway, so these things kept happening to me, and I didn't know how to control it. I didn't know how to interpret messages. So I had several things happen to me throughout all of this learning process, okay? But one of the most interesting, there's been several interesting, I guess is what I'm trying to pinpoint. However, I was not a fan of the one spirit who was, hey, 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 in my ear. I'm trying to get a message to my cousin. Because this person, this spirit had died in a car accident. And I didn't know them. And the cousin that they were trying to get a hold of was someone I didn't get along with. They didn't even talk to me. They didn't acknowledge me. So I knew after I finally gave it the time or the energy, I figured out who it was for. And I was upset. So then I'm now in my ego, right? I'm not getting your message to the person. I don't even like that person. But I had to figure out, well, I'm getting this message. Does that mean I have to deliver it? So I had to figure out a way, I'm building this gift that I have. Just because I get the message doesn't mean I have to deliver it. Because all of a sudden I was at the DMV and getting messages for people, random people. And I'm like, this is weird. This is awkward. Like, I'm not going to talk to this stranger. Anywho. So I end up at a Psychic 101 because I started looking. I needed mentorship. At this point, the books that I was reading, I was not reading them fast enough. So I end up at a Psychic 101 with Erin Ashley, who has been an amazing mentor. Still to this day, I still listen to some of her podcasts and things like that. And I go back to some of those initial learnings and just kind of refresh my mind. But she taught me about the spiritual boundaries. There is the spiritual laws, you guys, that exist on this plane. And she talked about how we create them. We're the ones in charge of this plane. They have to respect them. So she talked about how when she's ready to receive messages, she would give them a symbol, like, show me my symbol. So we all did this practice of somebody said they would show me a rose, or somebody said, show me a pencil. And then somebody else said, well, show me this, show me that. And I was just like, well, shoot, I'm okay to receive messages anywhere at any time. I don't need to be shown anything. I just want them to leave me alone when I'm in my bedroom. Like, my bedroom is completely off limits. I don't care what time of day it is. I'm open to receiving messages at any time. Okay, well then just create a boundary in your bedroom. Okay. So I consciously created a boundary in my bedroom. That means that in my bedroom, doesn't matter, there is a boundary. There is a spiritual boundary where no spirit, no ghost, nothing can enter my bedroom. Keep this in mind. That means in the shower, I'm okay. Even though it's in my bedroom, the shower is still on limits because it's okay. I don't consider it part of my resting area. I get a lot of messages in the shower. One of my girlfriends, I hope you don't mind, Lisa, I'm gonna use you. I used to get a lot of messages for her. Like, I had to stop one day dead in my tracks and message her. I need to get this message. Don't buy the paint. You're gonna be sorry if you buy this paint. Like, I couldn't wait. The message couldn't wait. Well, I found out later that she was gonna go buy this paint at lunchtime. Like, the message couldn't wait. So I was happy I got that to her. So there was sometimes that I had to get messages out to people like this. So I had to learn to figure out how to do all these things. Now, fast forward. My grandma passes away. Me and my grandma didn't have the best relationship. We have a better relationship now that she's passed away. But my grandma used to do this thing that every time I used to show up to my mom's house, where she spent the last year and a half of her life, she would get up and she would leave the room. I don't know why, she just did. And I had told my mom, I'm like, have you noticed that my grandma leaves the room every time I come visit you guys? Like, she leaves. And my mom finally realized, and I'm like, I don't know what it is, So me and my grandma just didn't really ever have a close relationship. So when my grandma's in hospice and I go and I visit, and you could cut the tension in that room with a butter knife. But anyway, she ends up passing away. 3 days later, she ends up appearing. That's probably the first ghost that I can say that I saw with my own two, like my physical eyes, at my condo in Summerlin. And she's at my my bedroom door, like outside of my bedroom. And at this time, it didn't make sense. And she's at the bedroom door and she's wearing a white top and some black pants. And she's like see-through. Okay. So you know how in the movies they show you and they're kind of see-through, like a grayscale see-through? That's exactly what it looked like. It was kind of smoky, kind of grainy, like that. Okay. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I just kind of like, what is happening right now? Am I high? What is happening? And she said, you're going to deliver this message at my wake. And I said, I'm not delivering anything for you. You and I didn't get along. I'm not saying nothing for you. She said, yeah, you're going to say this, this, and this. And I'm sitting there having a conversation with my departed grandma. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And she's like, yes, you are. And I'm not. She disappears. I go to bed, whatever. We finally have the wake. And I just sat there and I thought it was funny because I was like, why was she outside the door? Like, it didn't dawn on me. We get to the wake. We're all at the wake. A couple of her kids speak. My sister speaks. My brother speaks. Then my other brother speaks. And I'm sitting here still on I'm not going to talk. There's no way I'm going to speak. And all of a sudden, my oldest brother, James, gets done speaking. And I feel a hand or a pressure on the back of my back grab me and push me up out of the bench I was on. No lie. And it was with such a force that it literally just pushed me right on up and I was just like, I guess I'm talking. I'm already on the way. So she got her way and I said what I had to say. I delivered her message clearly, what she wanted to say. But I threw my 2 cents in there too. And I remember after that, having now a conversation with her in meditation and asking, Grandma, why did you do that? Why were you outside of my bedroom door? Because at this point, I'm like, dang, you really just pressured me into having to deliver this message of forgiveness and this message of service, because that's what she wanted to deliver, forgive your brothers, forgive your sisters, and then, be of service, even if it's not going to be in the church, be of service to each other. Why I was so reluctant to deliver that message, I don't know. Maybe at the time I was just in my ego. However, I started to develop this relationship with her because my grandpa has always shown up in my readings. He's always been some sort of guide and he's always laughed. Like my grandpa has always been a source of laughter and joy in my life and in my readings, right? Because I had a very different relationship with my grandfather versus other family members. Now, when her and I started having this relationship, now that she's departed, she told me, she's like, well, don't you remember you have a boundary? I'm like, a boundary? She's like, yeah, we can't go in your bedroom. And I busted off laughing. And I'm like, oh. So you guys, really all a spiritual boundary is you tell the ghosts or the spirits that they can't come in within a particular space, or they have to show you a rose or a pencil or a scrunchie or whatever in order to communicate with you. And they were respected. My grandma, okay, I made the spiritual boundary when she was still alive. When she passed away, she knew to respect it because she's now a spirit, right? And she knew to respect it. Now, some of these spirits can be very adamant and very just persistent. So you will have some spirits who are very just in your face, in your face, in your face, and you can tell them to knock it off and you can tell them to turn it down. So you'll have some who are more persistent than others. But at the end of the day, they need to respect your boundaries and your wishes. Now, are there spirits that do touch you and that do mark you? Yeah. But they know that you don't know your own spiritual boundaries. Now, if you have spirits that are touching you and marking you, that means that in this life, you've had issues with boundaries too. And that you need to reinforce your boundaries in this life, not only just with physical beings and live people, but in that spiritual side too. Okay, on that spiritual realm too. Now, I remember when Jenny Rivera passed, and I'm not even a fan. No, I haven't seen the Netflix series that's going on right now. But I remember when she had passed, and there was still rumors that they weren't sure if it was her or not. But I remember walking into my apartment that day and feeling weird when I walked into my apartment, looked over to the right, and on my couch was a woman with her legs crossed in a dress. And all I saw were the legs and the high heels. And I knew it was Jenny Rivera. And I was like, oh, she's dead. Didn't see her top, didn't see her, I just saw the legs down. But I knew it was her for a fact. I wasn't even a fan. Like it was an energy. It was an energetic thing. And then they finally later they confirmed that it was her, that it was confirmed that she had passed away in the airplane. So I have had my weird ghost things. They've moved things because there are mischievous spirits and souls out there that get tied up, that get that you can say have unfinished business, you can say, that just want to apologize. Most of them want to apologize. When I've done mediumship, they want to apologize. They want to say thank you. They want to just have last words. But for the most part, a lot of them just want to say thank you and I love you and I'm sorry. Honestly, it's really, I can tell you right now that mediumship is probably not my favorite thing to do just because it's really repetitive. So, I mean, it is healing. It is very healing for the person who's receiving all of the messages. But to me, I'm being honest, as a psychic medium, it's very repetitive. It's very just the same messages. And I mean, there are some very unique instances where they're very impactful. But for the most part, they all want to say the same thing. You guys have any questions? It's been interesting, but we're the ones who rule this plane. They cannot come in and rule your house. There are portals. You guys, if you guys have mirrors and you feel weird walking by a mirror, closets are also portals. Throw some holy water or some anointment oil. Say a prayer over it and ask the portal to be closed. Kids are highly sensitive to portals. Animals are highly sensitive to portals. The difference between dogs and cats. Cats will battle our spiritual warfare versus dogs can only see the spirits. Cats not only can see the spirits, but they battle the spirits. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns? So, I can definitely say that the relationship between my grandma and me has tenfold gotten so much better. I can say this also with my grandpa. I do know that I had a dream with him, and my dad had the same exact dream with him, the same exact night I had it. So the spirit world does definitely connect to several different people at the same time. There is no time and space. That time and space only is created here on this 3D world. So know that you're not crazy, that these things do happen, that we definitely do travel when we do go to sleep. And that is why sometimes we can come back with, nicks and scratches. But for the most part, if you are coming back with scratches or you're waking up with things like that, it's because you don't have strong spiritual boundaries with the spirit world. But all you have to do is set the intention and just make it known and be firm about it. You don't have to be an asshole about it. I mean, you don't have to curse, but just be very strong and firm about it and tell them to knock it off. Simple as that. Simple as that. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off. I hope you guys learned something new. I hope, let me see any other things. Yeah. But when and if you guys do get a message, you don't have to feel obligated to deliver it. Don't dabble in things you guys aren't fully aware of or familiar with. Don't read people just because you get the information, don't deliver it. I used to do that a lot just because I had the information. I'm like, ooh, I know this about you and this about you, and it's rude. I was a lot less ethical before, and I apologize if I ever did that to you guys. I'm sorry. I know more now. But yeah, so if you guys want to learn more, I will be having another Psychic 101 class very soon here. And yeah, if you guys are interested in more, just let me know. But this one was inspired by one of the girls who let me know what happened to her. So if you guys have anything else, let me know. And drop your comments. And hopefully this helps somebody out there. Okay, bye.